post-war period saw a golden age of home ownership. To some, the idea of owning your home was part of the national psyche. A generation of young people may never be able to own their own homes.
Should housing be profitable? Historically, housing was seen as shelter and an element of community life and family. Shout out Maslow. This was all good until the late 20th century when the Fire Nation attacked. Housing began its transformation in the late 20th century with a rise in neoliberal economic policy and the increased financialization of real estate. While people have bought and sold land for centuries, the modern concept of housing as a primary investment is still a relatively new concept. This has occurred because of financial deregulation, expansion of mortgage-backed schemes, and the rise of home ownership.
Was all this legal? Absolutely.
Policies encouraging home ownership as a key to wealth accumulation have encouraged people to view their homes not just as a place to live, but as an asset. The commodification of housing wasn't a single event, but a gradual process with key moments, one of them being the 2008 financial crisis.
The closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange, the main index down over 7%. Shock and panic evident on the faces of those on the trading floor.
Shout out Lehman Brothers. The subprime mortgage crisis served as an example as to how deeply intertwined housing had become with global finance. The crisis wasn't solely about people's inability to pay their mortgages or live in their homes. It was about the collapse of a complex financial system built on housing assets. In the years following the crash, large investment institutions bought up vast portfolios of single-family houses, converting them into rentals. This marked a significant shift as now these companies view housing as investment opportunities rather than places where people live.
You smell that? What is that?
What?
What's that smell?
A cologne?
No.
Opportunity.
No. Money.
Oh, okay.
I smell money.
This ongoing commodification has changed the landscape of housing and has moved it from a place where people live to a profit-making venture, which is contributing to the issues of affordability in various countries. Now with this, let's break down why people may be for or against profitable housing. Let's start with why a profitable housing market may be essential to existing economic structures. First of all, it incentivizes supply and construction. Developers, builders, and constructors all work on the notion that they will make profit from whatever they build. And if that isn't a given in the projects they take on, there's the notion that new buildings won't get built because no one has the financial backing to do that. And if they're not building, no one's building because government bodies also can't afford to really build, so there'll be an even bigger shortage in housing stock. There's also the argument that a profitable housing market helps with economic growth.
It'll be good for the economy,
as it creates lots of jobs in different industries that are involved in ensuring houses are built. In essence, profit is the engine that drives supply to meet demand. And the idea that when money is flowing into housing, it ripples through the economy and everyone feels it positively. It also offers freedom and choice. In a system where profit is allowed, there is variety and people are allowed to build to the needs and demands they think the general public need. This system also gives property owners the right to buy and sell property as they wish and do with the property as they want. And finally, profitability may encourage upkeep and maintenance because if the assumption is that the value of the property could go up if it's looked after properly, there's an incentive to want to do the little upkeep and maintenance of the property, knowing that the big payday in the future is coming when you finally are able to sell it. Many people argue that prioritizing profits in housing creates social problems, and this should really be reconsidered. The main argument is usually around viewing housing as a human right rather than just a commodity. This perspective suggests that affordable housing and shelter is a fundamental human right. When housing is treated as a primary investment, its price can create an unaffordability gap between those who are able to afford it and those who can't. And this could lead to artificial scarcity, overcrowding, and in some cases homelessness, all because a basic amenity was turned into an investment opportunity. Secondly, a profit-driven market fuels financial speculation. When housing is highly attractive and profitable, it attracts a lot of investment from very wealthy individuals, investment institutions, and hedge funds. They often buy property as assets to be flipped for financial gain rather than spaces to live in. This practice drives up prices, reduces the actual housing stock available for residents, and disconnects housing costs from local incomes. It's why you have cases where there's whole luxury apartments empty in cities facing a housing crisis. Third, it exacerbates inequality and fuels the G word. As housing values and rents skyrocket, low-income residents and community members are priced out. Developers and investors come in, renovate the areas, raise rents, and transform communities. These new spaces often end up pushing out existing communities. This ends up creating further segregated cities, deepening the divide between the rich and the poor. And finally, a profit-driven system creates social instability. When a huge portion of the population is constantly overburdened by extreme housing costs, it has more intangible consequences on people than the constant threat of displacement undermines community cohesion and the overall well-being of society. On one hand, profit incentivizes construction and growth and offers choice. On the other hand, prioritizing profit can lead to housing becoming unaffordable. Ultimately, this isn't just an economic question, it's a moral and societal one. How do we balance the need for investment and development with the fundamental need for shelter? What kind of society do we want to build? I'd love to hear your thoughts and where you stand on this. Let me know in the comments below, and if you like this video, please subscribe, like, and share to anyone else. Thank you.